Hello again, Kendopolis. This is Dr. Kendo, and I'm back with another Scribblenauts Unlimited object editor commentary. To start off this episode, if you're going by my design, be sure to type in rubber glove, and then tap or click on it to edit it within the object editor. Once you're there, you'll just press the little trash bag icon in the top right, which will allow you to see both gloves. Normally typing in rubber glove in the object editor only gives you the glove with the palm facing up, but with that trash bag icon, we now get the palm down glove for the other side. And the last thing that you'll need to do is just copy the palm facing down glove to our left and simply discard it after that. This will then put that rubber glove design specifically into our left side panel of recently used objects for us to use in today's design for today's episode, which is our second Patreon Create episode. What this means is just that someone has donated to the final reward tier of my Patreon, supporting Kendopolis in one of the biggest ways you can, which I am so thankful for, because without Patreon support, this channel could be one step closer to death under YouTube's new algorithm changes. But aside from that, we've been supported by Sentry, a longtime Epic subscriber, and this is his second month in a row to donate to the last reward tier on my Patreon, which basically allows you to bypass the most popular, most requested voting system that I usually do for my Sunday uploads, and you get your creation made automatically. And it benefits everyone else in the community because you then get 2 episodes in a week instead of the usual 1 on Sunday. So many thanks to Sentry, who has asked for me to create the Knightmare Batman from the Batman vs. Superman movie, as well as one of the Batsuits from Batman Arkham Knight, which we'll get to later on. But I hope that you noticed we started off with a detective, the male detective that is, as the source object. And so then we use that rubber glove, for the arm that is closer to us on this side. It would be the left side, I guess, our left. And you can type in Brady for that arm that I used. And it's like perfect because the Batman that we're doing right now is the Knightmare one, of course. And so that Brady arm basically makes it be that the trench coat sleeves, when we color them the same color as the coat, will basically be all rolled up just like they are in the movie. And we can have his gloves be the rest of the arm down there. So you can see that I painted it all that pitch black kind of color. And we'll use the whalefish top fin as those 3 spikes here on the arm that's to our left. And we're going to do hair to kind of be 3 of those spikes, sharp edges there on that back arm to our right. And that's so that we can use just 1 stamp to kind of convey 3 different things instead of using 3 stamps. Chase is what we just typed in. That's one of Maxwell's brothers, of course, in this game. He's got many brothers, but we'll use Chase for his legs here. And hopefully you noticed also on those rubber gloves that we typed in after the Brady arms and stuff, so to be kind of the balled up fists right there for his gloves. You can also see that we used a sash as well as an octopus tentacle and a 29-page library arm shape. It probably doesn't really matter which one you use as long as you're just using an arm shape from there. Those are all kind of the ties around his gloves and stuff, those straps. And we've done a lot of other things with the colors, so I certainly hope you were able to follow along with the color scheme that we've been doing. But that whalefish fin that we also used for those spikes on the arm, that's the left arm, we did use one of them to be the scarf and stuff down there on his neck, and we actually used a dinosaur's neck to be the actual black of Batman's neck, so it will go pretty well together, with a 29-page library arm shape from the 22nd page there to be the back of the trench coat, where the collar is. And if you want to kind of make his legs, I guess, similar to my Batman design from Sentry's actually last month Patreon, where we did create just kind of the normal Batman from Batman vs. Superman, I used a kidney bean turned upside down for the feet of that. So if you want those feet to kind of look big and proportional to his body and stuff, that's a pretty good choice. But here we are in the properties editor. This is where you just edit health and all sorts of background stuff for the character, weight, speed, various things. Whenever this is happening in my series, I like to read background information and fun facts about the character, so we'll talk about the Knightmare Batsuit outfit, which can be seen in the Batman vs. Superman movie, as we mentioned, but in a particular sequence that actually had some theater goers kind of confused. We jump from a scene where Bruce Wayne is basically waiting for a decryption of LexCorp information, to then going into what could be called, I guess, the nightmare scene, and you want to spell nightmare with a K. Get it? The scene itself drew some serious criticism or praises, depending on what side the critic was on. But all in all, this Batsuit can basically be described as Batman wearing a trench coat despite being in an apocalyptic desert setting, as well as a scarf and some goggles. I personally thought that it was a pretty cool look for him, but the scene in the movie is speculated to most likely lead to something for the Justice League movies in the future. Time will tell all, but you can see we have our Batman head, which we will edit in a little bit, but this is just to kind of see where it goes when we put it on our body right here, our character's body or whatever. So you can see that the head is actually mostly in the spot that I want it to be in, but it's a little bit off just in small ways. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and edit this body object again in the object editor. I did want to kind of adjust the scarf a little bit, move that down because it didn't really look like he was wearing much of one, I guess, when that head was placed on. You know, you couldn't see a lot of it. And so we'll make a few sizing adjustments, and we'll actually bring this 29-page library from the 22nd page, that arm shape back there for the collar of the trench coat. We'll bring that forward one layer instead of having it all the way back. And so here you can see that we also have moved that dinosaur neck. But what might actually be better is if we toss that, and perhaps we can use that 29-page library arm shape. I'm going to see what this looks like when we place it, I guess, in the spot that I want it to be. Basically, that neck was a little bit too bulky for the dinosaur neck, so if you want to kind of use that design, that's fine, but I think I'm going to just give this a try, and we'll see how it looks once we put the head on it. And instead of that 22nd page arm, we'll go with the 20th page, and in the top right corner, there's this sort of straight-looking arm right here, and I think that this is going to be the best option, probably. We don't need the odd shape, I guess, of that dinosaur head either, you know, when we use that neck of the dinosaur, I mean, and so I think that this will kind of be the best of the three options that I've tried here, so we'll go with that. And again, I want to see what it looks like once we put the head on. So yeah, that's a little bit better and a little bit more what I was going for. We may need a few more adjustments after we create the Knightmare head, which we'll do now. So here I've just typed in Knightmare head to get it started, but of course this is using the Batman head from the 200th episode in this series. That was last month for J.E. Sentry again when he wanted us to create just the regular Batman from the movie. Well, here what we'll do is kind of editing that head, we'll add in the goggles because the mask and stuff is mostly the same, and we'll just put these goggles on, color them accordingly, of course, and that's looking pretty good. So the reason that you would create a head and a body separately in this game is if you don't have enough stamp space, which is very likely when you get into detailed character design like these. And so if you ever do that, you want to be sure that your head object is scripted like this. Go down to the properties editor, and in the equipment tab, that third circle down kind of at the bottom half of the screen, so I guess it's second from the bottom we should say, fill in that circle that says can be worn on the face like glasses, and basically that will assure that the head object gets placed above that body object. It won't go into its hands or anything like that, and it should align itself mostly correct, except for, again, you're going to need to sort of edit that after you've seen what it looks like when you give the head piece to the body piece. You can then edit that body object to get it arranged how you want. But we'll start off with a female wrestler as the source object, specifically the female for this kind of design on the torso right there, and you can notice that we'll just sort of breeze through this one, but this is actually the Arkham Knight. This is the other Batman that he wanted created. And so if you know the image basically of the Batman Arkham Knight game, well, if you see the basically version 8.03, that's the one that we're going with right now. That's the Batsuit that he wanted us to create. And so I've used a DJ's arms to be there with the receiver glove as the hands, and the whalefish fins with the hair again to be those spikes and stuff on the sides of it. Nailed is the belt buckle in the middle, or that middle piece of the belt basically, with two flash grenades to both sides of that, with a magazine, and we actually want the paper magazine, not the weapon magazine. Those are just like these satchels and things on the side of his belt. A Daredevil's arms we actually put down there for the start of the legs down at the bottom, and then to finish off the legs though and the feet, we have a Dark Knight, which is interesting because Batman, Dark Knight, you know. We went into the 29-page library and grabbed the werewolf's tail. You can also type in werewolf and get a slightly different stamp, but mostly the same. That's to be the main bat design there on his, the bat symbol that's on his chest. We also used a Daggertooth's tail for the middle of that bat logo or bat symbol. And silica is going to be for this neck piece right there in between his chest and his head. Of course, that's the neck part of the suit. And I sort of rounded out the bat symbol down where the tail of the bat is, basically with a dartfish upper fin, that dorsal fin of the dartfish. That's so it could be a little bit more pointy of a tail instead of rounded like the Daggertooth's tail is. And so if we go with kind of that Batman head once again, but we took away some pieces such as mainly the eyes and the ear spikes right there. Those ears for the Batman head or mask right here, we used wedges this time because in Arkham Knight, those ears are a lot higher up. They're taller. And so that looks good. We used a cobra's back tail piece basically to be the eyes, as well as the kind of, I guess you could call them eyebrows, or just basically to make him look a little bit more sinister and serious. We gave him those above the eyes as well. So we can use that same cape piece from episode 200 that I use, for the Batman's cape, and you may need to adjust it just a tiny bit to fit where it needs to go. But all in all, it's looking mostly good. Again, remember what I mentioned about when you create the head and the body separately, body. You can then go ahead and edit the body after you've placed the head on just to kind of make micro adjustments. You can use the green grids to do this. Basically, there is a button, with Maxwell's head and dotted lines all around it and some other things. And so when you press that, it turns on the green grids for your object, which basically just shows all the different various moving parts of your object where you can place the stamps that you're using. And so one of those, of course, belongs to where the head is going to go, and you can just move that back, forwards, up, down, wherever you need it to go. And we'll go ahead and test out our Batman's power here by making him go up against, I don't know, I just randomly did an evil gorilla. And of course, we've got our Batman, both designs actually scripted to use weapons, and so I just put down a gun, and he's got this gun, and he's going to easily take down that gorilla. So that works out pretty good, but why not have our Batmans actually be dueling Batmen here? So it's the epic showdown between the Arkham Knight, of course, and our Knightmare Batman. So we'll make one of them hostile, and he's shooting me, of course. There we go. I didn't actually realize one thing about this is that they are both actually incredibly close to each other with these guns. It's like shooting at point blank range. The characters are doing that on their own. I keep trying to move one of them back, but it's not, they don't shoot far away when they've got the guns in their hands. Now, of course, if you ever kind of script a character in this game to be a shooting character, as in, their weapon is shoot rather than just bashing or straight up melee attacks, then it will actually, of course, fire from a distance farther away. But when you give them weapons like this, it looks like both of our Batmen here want to just shoot each other at point blank, and it looks like the winner is going to be our Knightmare Batman. I think, to be fair though, our Arkham Knight design for the version 8.03, he was a little bit weakened by fighting that gorilla, I think. I don't think that his health actually regenerated or anything like that, so maybe not the fairest of fights. But look at these awesome designs. Thank you to J.E. Sentry, of course, for asking for them. And as I mentioned before, him donating to Patreon is all good. There's no bad, because you guys still get the Sunday episodes, so it's not like this took away from anything. It only added to the videos for the week. So you guys will see whatever this week's most popular and most requested object was coming up on Sunday. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I will catch you guys on the next vid. One more thank you to J.E. Sentry, and thanks for viewing.